for watching Numbskull News. And SMU, well, they've been talking a world of shit ever since they bought their way into the ACC. You didn't earn your way to the ACC. You bought your way in, and that's fine. That's fine. You know, in this era, this new era that we're in of college football and college sports in general, it's more of a business now than ever. So buying your way in, you know, it's not really as disgusting as maybe as it once was. It's still a little icky, and there's no reason to talk your shit on it. You've been talking shit like you earned something, and you haven't. And on Twitter, there's, of course, a ton of asswipes on Twitter that want to talk shit from SMU. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of your school, being proud of your town. I myself are from the DFW area, although I reside in Fort Worth, and I back the TCU Horned Frogs, who just beat the shit out of you again. Again! Give you all the credit in the world. SMU held up strong for the first half. But we see that all, you know, every year. You know, it's some G5 takes on a Power 5 school. And they hold strong for, you know, a half, running on emotion, right? And then the second half, that emotion fades, your energy fades, and then, well, the cream rises to the top, as it did between TCU and SMU, because TCU is clearly a better team with a better quarterback, with a better O-line, better defensive line, better everything. So, all this shit talking from SMU, and look, like I said, there's nothing wrong with expressing, hey, man, we're happy to be in the ACC. Thank God we got to a Power 5. By hook or crook, we got there. No problem with that. But when you automatically come after TCU, well, now we're the big dogs in DFW. No, you're fucking not. You're nothing. Beat somebody. That's what I've been saying. You're 2-2. You beat two nobodies. And then when you play somebody, you get outclassed. Clearly outclassed. Oklahoma wasn't close. TCU was close for a half. And then that was it. That was it. Then they just broke you in half after that. They just broke you in half after that. All right, this is your crosstown rivalry. You have no business getting your ass blown off in the second half, but that's exactly what happened. All this talk about money, all this talk about, oh, we got $200 million in our war chest already. Doesn't matter. Beat somebody. Beat them. Straight up. Somebody that matters. You got Charlotte next week. If you beat Charlotte, is that going to, like, impress anybody? No, it won't. But Charlotte, you know, their record doesn't indicate it, but they're actually not a bad team. They can very well beat you. And if they do, I'm going to make another video and laugh your ass off. You know what? I won't even waste time making a video on SMU again. There's no reason to. Maybe I'll do it on a live stream and just make fun of you there, just poke you. But I felt there was a need to make a video that you're going to a conference that's going to blow itself apart, losing its major programs. That's not you. You're not a replacement for Florida State. You're nowhere near their league. You're not a replacement for Clemson. You're nowhere in their league. You're not a replacement for Miami. Miami's legendary. What is SMU? Maybe infamous, but not legendary. UNC? No, you can't hold a candle to them either. Does it stop there? I don't know. I mean, I think Louisville's been a much better program over the last 20, 30 years than SMU. Hell, Syracuse has been better. Duke's better right now. Apparently they can play basketball and football. Not SMU. Not SMU. Win the American, dude. I mean, start next week. Start piling up conference wins. Get yourself into the American Conference championship game. And whoever that is that's in there with you, Tulane, Eastern Carolina, whoever, and beat them. So I believe pretty much the rest of your schedule, if you're really that badass, shouldn't be a problem for you to click off the rest of the wins. It shouldn't be a problem with you to go without any more losses the rest of the season. You should finish the regular season 10-2. Matter of fact, I don't think you have Tulane on the schedule. I'd have to check again, but I don't know about South Florida or Memphis. But you're not really playing anybody. So anything less than 10-2 is just an absolute joke for SMU going forward after this ass whipping you just took. Iron skillet. Yeah, you got an iron skillet right up your ass. Right up your ass. And you could take it with you to the ACC because TCU doesn't even give a shit about an iron skillet. Because you're not on TCU's level. And it's going to be a long time before you ever even approach that or sniff it. Right now, you can't hold TCU's jock. They're musky, dirty, sweaty, stinking ass jock. You're not even worth that right now. Well, we're in the ACC. It doesn't matter if you're a bottom dweller in the number 4, as far as if you're counting the levels of Power 5 or Power 4 schools, they're the least of the Power 4. The Big 12 is number 3. We're just better. And when we add Colorado next year and add Utah next year and the Arizona schools, it won't be any question. Oh, I'm sorry. You're adding Stanford and Cal too. That matters if it's like I don't know, 2-man luge or whatever other Olympic non-paying sport that Stanford has. That would be big time. But we're talking football here. We're talking the big dog here. We're talking about the sport that makes all the money or the majority of the money in college sports, followed up by basketball. So Stanford Cal isn't really much of an add to the ACC. It's crap. It's crap. It's stupid. And frankly, SMU doesn't really fit either. You don't. Athletically, you can't match up. All right. Duke would tear you a new asshole this year. Clemson, despite, what are they, 2-2? They would rip you a new asshole. Florida State would destroy you. Miami would destroy you. Louisville would destroy you. Wake Forest would destroy you. Syracuse would destroy you. Am I leaving someone out? UNC would destroy you. That's 8 schools right there that you couldn't even touch. And you won't be able to touch them next year either. Oh, we'll get better. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how long those donation dollars last for. Maybe you can, help you with a few recruits. Maybe help you with a little bit of NIL, transfer portal, whatever. But sooner or later, that money starts to run out because you can't afford to pay a linebacker, you can't afford to pay a running back, you can't afford to pay a wide receiver because you got to pay your light bill. You got to have lights in the stadium. You got to pay your coach and the coaching staff. You got to pay your medical staff, your training staff. There's a lot of damn money to run a football team, a football program, a Division I, Power 4 football team, facilities. This stuff always has to get worked on. All right, you're always fixing something. Always. You got to work on the field, the bleachers, the infrastructure, the wiring, the AC, the plumbing, everything. All of it costs money. A lot of money. So let's don't act like that. Oh, that $200 million. That $200 million isn't going to get you 10 years. It's not. You better come with a hell of a lot more money. And we're not even talking about paying players at this point. We're not even talking about NIL at this point. That's just facilities and coaches. And it's not just football. It's not just football. You dumb sons of bitches. Because football pays for what? All the Olympic sports, track and field, wrestling, indoor volleyball, whatever, women's softball, men's baseball. It pays for all of that, the facilities and the coaching and the training staff and the medical staff of all that shit. You think that $200 million is going to last you 10 years for paying for all of that shit and all of the travel associated with all of those sports? Probably won't. And even if you can micromanage it to where and make it pay all the bills, and hopefully a tornado doesn't come in and tear up your practice field or whatever kind of volleyball facility you have, or Olympic-sized swimming pool for your diving and swimming teams, whatever it is. Hopefully nothing happens to that. It takes a major renovation. Hopefully. Because you still got to peel off a few $1 million for players. So, a lot of people talking a lot of shit. A lot of shit. And there's no proof of any kind of success. Oh, we can do it. We'll compete. You can't compete in the American. I've said it once before. I'll say it again. The Big 12 took 3 American teams. 3 of your conference mates didn't even really sniff at you. Didn't even really consider SMU. They know they wanted Cincinnati. They knew they wanted UCF. And they wanted another Texas team. And they pick SMU. They went and got Houston. Houston, who's struggling mightily right now. But at least it's a different market, a different part of Texas. And as far as success over the last 10, 20 years, I'll take Houston. Houston's been better, a better program. They've won more games than SMU. Houston's been better in the American than SMU. Cincinnati's been better in the American than SMU. UCF has been better in the American than SMU. Tulane has been... there's a list of teams and schools that have been better in the American than SMU. All right. At the fairest, at the absolute fairest, I could say that SMU is like mid-tier in the American. In a Power 4 conference, you're not at mid-tier. You're at the very bottom. You're right there floating around the bottom of that toilet with Boston College. But at least Boston College can compete on a pretty high level in basketball from time to time. SMU, haven't seen that run. Maybe it exists and I'm just not aware of it because it's not a big deal here in Dallas-Fort Worth. It's not a big deal what happens with SMU in Dallas, and Fort Worth because no one gives two flaming fucking shits about SMU in Dallas and Fort Worth. We're concerned about the Cowboys, the Texas Rangers. We're concerned with the Dallas Mavericks, the Dallas Sidekicks, whoever the damn WNBA team is, probably more concerned with them. We're more concerned with UNT. We're more concerned with the Mean Green than we are with SMU. SMU doesn't matter at all. At fucking all. All right, they got a decent little fan base there. You know, give you a nice little golf clap for a decent little fan base. But it's just in one zip code. Really. The Horned Frogs, as far as local teams, own this bitch, and it ain't even close. Horned Frogs have the results. They have the results. They earn their way to the Big 12, to the Power 4 level. SMU, you bought your way in. Results, unnecessary. So you're not exactly going to have these streaming hordes of fans following you all over the country watching the Mustangs play somebody, because no one gives a fuck. You got some rich boosters? Great. Great. That's awesome. A lot of money. Cool. Cool. And maybe if you could find a way to beat anybody, all right? Because it's not going to be this year. It would have been something if you beat Oklahoma. Oh, damn. I'd have to unleash all kinds of credit to SMU for that. If you had beat TCU, oh, well, we got to give you a standing ovation for beating TCU if you had, but you got your ass whooped. Now, if you lose one more game with that schedule, I mean, why are you talking? Shut up. Good job. You got your way to the ACC. Good job. And then what does that conference become when the big programs leave? The big brands leave. Because you ain't a big brand. When the big brands leave, what happens to the ACC at that point? You're in the same boat. You're going to be in the American Part 2 is what you're going to be in. There's no prestige in that. There's nothing in that. You damn fools. If you ask me, you'd have been better off in the American. Fight me on it. I think you'd be better off in the American. You're not beating anybody anyway. You might as well stay. Maybe you can compete with Tulane one day. You ain't going to compete with Florida State the next 10 years. You're going to get your ass just wiped out, destroyed. You think you're ever beating Clemson? I mean, they're down right now, and you will not beat Clemson. Maybe you could find a win against Boston College once in a while. But once in a while, Boston College is going to take you out. I'm sorry, you're not. I watched that. I watched the entire. How much of that team? I watched 3 quarters, the first 2 quarters, and then the 4th quarter, part of the 3rd quarter of that game. I had shit to do. You ain't that important. And TCU just handled you up in the second half. And I watched your team. Your quarterback's okay. He's not really that good. Chandler Morris for TCU's, obviously better. And the guy didn't have a huge arm. He didn't have an NFL arm. Chandler Morris. He'll never do anything. He'll never get to the next level. This is his final level. But he's still a way better quarterback than what you got. TCU just has pretty much everything more than what you have. And I'm sorry, I don't care what your donors have. You can't buy a whole team and bring them in. As Colorado found out, transfer portal and NIL, it doesn't work like the NFL. You can't just throw together an offensive line and think it's going to hold up next to a really good defensive line, a Power 5 one at that. So I said it once, I'll say it again. Congratulations on making it to the ACC, but stop talking shit. You have beat nobody. Nobody of consequence. You've done nothing. The program has done nothing. You've done nothing. Win your conference. You're still in the American. Win it. Win it. Make it look like the ACC is actually getting something. Because right now, it's like they're getting some piece of shit, side bitch from DFW area that doesn't even matter. It's embarrassing. So at least, try to win the American. Do that. Do that. Beat somebody. I'll say it over and over again. Beat somebody. You've beaten nothing. Well, that's all I got for that crap. I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.